Hello everyone!
And welcome to Compassionate Communication. My name is Sam Gray.
And my name is Kayla Reed.
And we are graduate student speech and language pathologists here at Midwestern University in Glendale, Arizona. And this is a video series for our capstone project.
Many students in public schools have different types of disabilities and support needs. However, teachers and paraeducators often don't have enough resources to help them understand and support all types of communication, including nonverbal ways that kids may express themselves. There are few proven research-based tools and training programs that help teachers and school staff use neurodivergent-friendly practices in the classroom.
To best support these students, educators need to learn a variety of communication skills and strategies. We have developed 6 easy-to-understand videos that aim to answer all the questions you may have about working with neurodivergent students and the resources to help you support them. Now let's jump into video 1. What is neurodivergence and what does it look like for your students?
First, what is neurodivergence? This term refers to individuals differing in neurological function from what is considered normal or typical. This is a broad definition that covers atypical functioning in a variety of diagnoses. This definition holds space beyond autism and ADHD, which many people anchored the term to.
As a teacher, why is neurodivergence something that you should account for when preparing to teach lessons and general classroom communication? The National Center of Education Statistics reported in the 2022-2023 school year indicates that the number of students aged 3 to 23 receiving services under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act was 7.5 million, representing 15% of all public school students. This means approximately 4 students per 30 student classroom.
This percentage includes students who have official diagnoses, but not those who have yet to be identified. Students who have not been identified are often younger and in early elementary school. With that being said, this series focuses on strategies suitable for elementary school settings and environments. But some of the tools we share may be useful for older students as well. Fostering a communication-inclusive environment in a classroom builds the foundation of language for all students and cultivates the welcoming support of neurodivergent students and their communication differences. So, proper communication and understanding leads to improved learning opportunities for all.
Now we will cover certain characteristics of specific diagnoses that fall under IDEA and how communication differences may manifest within individuals. Let's start with ADHD. ADHD is a lifelong neurodevelopmental disorder that makes it hard for a person to pay attention, manage executive functioning such as planning, inhibition, and initiating tasks, as well as following through. Some people with ADHD may have trouble sitting still and controlling their behaviors. In classroom settings, children with ADHD have been found to do some of the following things: be less likely to request clarifying information when presented with ambiguous statements, have difficulties in situations where perspective taking is needed, and processing referential statements. For examples, sentences that refer to something either directly or indirectly. Direct would be, the book is on the table, whereas indirect would be, where's the book? It's on the table. Additionally, they may have difficulty with auditory processing. This manifests as inattention, being easily distracted, or unable to understand instructions and feedback that may come with it, which makes it difficult to converse effectively. Additionally, this can be shown as difficulty with sentence imitation, which also may point towards underdeveloped grammar.
The DSM-5 defines autism spectrum disorder as a neurodevelopmental disorder characterized by deficits in social communication and social interaction, and the presence of restrictive and repetitive behaviors. This diagnosis comes with varying levels of need from low to high support needs. A general education classroom is likely to see students with lower support needs. In classroom settings, students with ASD have been found to display difficulties with expressive and receptive language. So let's talk about what those things mean. Expressive language is the ability to share your thoughts, ideas, or feelings with others. Receptive language is the ability to understand what others are communicating. Display difficulties with expressive communication shown as struggling to answer questions out loud or participate in class discussions, using little or no verbal words, or may repeat the question instead of answering. Talk off topic or focus on specific interests that don't relate to the lesson. Have difficulty explaining their thinking or narrating steps. Avoid asking for help or clarification even when confused. rely on gestures and behaviors instead of words to express needs. Students may display difficulties with receptive communication, shown as having trouble following spoken directions, especially if they're long and complex, misunderstanding what's expected, leading to off-task behavior or incomplete work, seeming like they're ignoring the teacher, especially in noisy settings. Educators may think the child is not paying attention, being defiant, or they just don't know the answer, when in reality, the difficulty may be effectively expressing their responses.
Intellectual disability is characterized by significant limitations in adaptive behavior, such as conceptual, social, and practical skills to help you function in daily life. Additionally, it is also characterized by significant limitations in intellectual functioning. This would be learning, reasoning, and problem solving. A developmental delay diagnosis can fall under the umbrella of intellectual disability. A developmental delay is identified where children are slow to reach one or more developmental milestone compared to their same age peers. Developmental delay is a label applied to very young children. By the time they are in K through 5, delay may no longer be applicable or considered an appropriate term because it implies they will catch up, and many do not. In classroom settings, children with ID have been found to do some of the following things: struggle to understand spoken directions, particularly multi-step directions or abstract ones. They may appear off-task, inattentive, or confused when they don't fully understand what's being spoken to them. They may have difficulty with new vocabulary or concepts without concrete examples. They may use shorter or grammatically simpler sentences and rely heavily on gestures to communicate. These children may need extra time to process and respond to verbal input, misinterpret figurative language, sarcasm, or idioms. Additionally, they may have difficulty following conversations or classroom discussions. This can include difficulty maintaining a topic of conversation, quick topic shifts, and interpreting tone and body language of their peers and teachers.
A disorder of written language involves a significant impairment in fluent word reading, which is reading decoding and sight word recognition, but also reading comprehension, written spelling, and/or written expression. This can be shown in dyslexia and dysgraphia. Written language disorders often co-occur with other spoken language disorders. In a classroom setting, children with dyslexia have been found to display challenges with receptive language. This is difficulty following written instructions and misunderstanding sentences. They can display challenges with developing expressive language, shown as limited vocabulary, struggling to organize thoughts or telling events in sequence, and problems finding the right words, which is word finding. Display challenges with pragmatic or social language gaps. This is difficulty using language in a flexible way during conversations, understanding metaphors or idioms, and picking up on social cues. They may also demonstrate difficulties with memory and executive functions, challenges with working memory, narrative organization, and staying on topic during storytelling. Children with dysgraphia often struggle not only with handwriting mechanics, but also with organizing thoughts and expressing themselves. This can impact difficulty conveying ideas clearly. They rely on short, choppy sentences. Receptive language challenges when writing to demonstrate comprehension. This is the mechanical barriers can hinder content understanding. Emotional and social communication difficulties. This is displaying frustration or embarrassment from writing struggles, and this may lead them to avoid written and participatory tasks.
Central auditory processing disorder, also known as CAPD, refers to deficits in the neural processing of auditory information in the central auditory nervous system. This is not due to higher order language or cognitive factors. CAPD is demonstrated by poor performance in one or more of the following skills: sound localization and lateralization, auditory discrimination, auditory pattern recognition, temporal aspects of audition, auditory performance in competing acoustic signals, and auditory performance with degraded acoustic signals. In classroom settings, children with CAPD have been found to do some of the following things: misinterpret tone of voice, process multi-step directions differently, struggle in noisy environments, and misunderstand instructions, leading to slower response times.
Nonverbal learning disability, NVLD, affects how children process visual and spatial information and how to produce responses to this information. In a classroom setting, children with NVLD may demonstrate difficulties with expressive language. This is demonstrating fluent, detailed speech but lacking structure, cohesion. They may ramble and shift topics abruptly, or echo memorized language without depth. They can also demonstrate difficulties with receptive language, shown in difficulty interpreting nonverbal cues such as body language, facial expressions, tone, sarcasm, idioms, humor. They may struggle to grasp the big picture narratives, trouble with complex instructions, inferencing, abstract concepts. Lastly, demonstrate difficulties with pragmatic language. This is impaired conversational turn-taking, topic maintenance, speech prosody, and sensitivity to social norms.
Social communication disorder is characterized by persistent difficulties with the use of verbal and nonverbal communication for social purposes. In a classroom setting, children with PLI or SCD may exhibit some of the following. Expressive difficulties. These include limited conversational turn-taking and back-and-forth discourse, use of literal or overly formal language, awkward prosody. In addition, they may often have conversational dead ends or go off on tangents. Receptive difficulties. They may have trouble understanding implying meaning. For example, could you as a request rather than a question. Misunderstanding idioms, humors, or metaphors. And additionally, they may have difficulty reading nonverbal signals in emotional tones. Lastly, there may be some pragmatic or behavioral difficulties. These could be breakdowns in peer interactions, failing to adjust to shifts in topics or the listener's needs, misinterpretations of social situations, leading to classroom disruptions or isolations, and few or limited friendships with peers.
Developmental language disorder, DLD, is a communication disorder that interferes with learning, understanding, and using language. Again, spoken language disorders can co-occur with written language disorders. In a classroom setting, children with DLD may demonstrate expressive language challenges. This is trouble constructing complex sentences, grammar errors, word finding struggles, and limited vocabularies. Receptive language challenges. Difficulty with sentence structure, prosody, multi-step commands, and ambiguous phrasing. Challenges with pragmatic communication. Issues with conversation flow, turn-taking, interpreting intentions, and social language nuances. Children with DLD may demonstrate a social impact. Fewer friendships, reduced class participation, and possible emotional difficulties. Lastly, children with DLD may experience cognitive influences. Deficits in working memory and executive function can intensify language processing issues. Traumatic brain injury, TBI, is a form of non-degenerative acquired brain injury resulting from a bump, blow, or jolt to the head or body, or a penetrating head injury that disrupts normal brain functioning. The functional impact of TBI in children can be different than in adults. Deficits may not be immediately apparent because the pediatric brain is still developing. TBI in children is not a chronic disease process rather than a one-time event, because symptoms may change and unfold over time. In a classroom setting, children with TBI may demonstrate difficulty participating in class discussions, challenges in group work and peer interactions, struggles with reading comprehension and written expression, increased frustration and behavioral issues due to communication barriers, and lastly, difficulties with executive functions similar to ADHD. We have these helpful handouts and more amazing resources linked on our website, compassionate-communications.org.
Now that we have covered the basic communication differences shown across various IDEA categories, our next video will break down the different levels of communication and explain how communication is not limited just to talking or verbal speech.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in our next video.